Has your child been diagnosed with mixed receptive and expressive language disorder and you're left wondering what this actually means for your child and for your everyday life? In this video, I'm going to break down what that diagnosis really means in parent language, but more importantly, I'm going to share the single most important thing every parent needs to understand when their child struggles with both understanding language and using it. Because once you see this one thing clearly, it changes how you interpret behavior and how you respond in hard moments and how supported your child feels. Hi, I'm Sarah, the face behind First Words Dance Party. And if you're parenting a child with mixed receptive and expressive language disorder, this video is for you. Let's get to it. You might see this diagnosis referred to in a few different ways: receptive and expressive language disorder, expressive receptive language disorder, even mixed expressive language disorder. All of these names are talking about the exact same thing. It's just that the technical diagnosis is so long and wordy that people ultimately end up referring to it in a few different ways. And it just means that a child has struggles with two areas of language: receptive language, or understanding what other people are saying, and expressive language, using words or other forms of communication to share their own thoughts, ideas, and needs. So when we talk about receptive and expressive language, receptive is what we understand or how we receive a message, and expressive is how we share a message. A child with this diagnosis may struggle to follow directions, understand questions, and process what's being said, while at the same time having a hard time finding the words to express what they think and need and feel. And here's where this shows up in real life. Imagine how overwhelming the world feels when you don't fully understand what's being asked of you and you don't yet have a reliable way to say what you need. That's a lot for a little nervous system. So we often see big meltdowns during transitions, a child who seems to ignore questions, hitting, throwing, or shutting down, big reactions over seemingly small things. And this is where, as a parent, there's one single most important thing that we have to understand. Here it is, my $1 million piece of advice. Ask yourself, what is my child trying to tell me? We have to see behavior as communication. When a child can't understand what is being said and they can't express what they need, their behavior becomes the most effective way for them to communicate. Those big reactions aren't defiance or being naughty. They're not manipulative. It's just a child saying, I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, and I don't know how to tell you what I need. So what's a parent to do? I'm going to share with you 3 ways to overcome challenging behavior so you can support your child. Step number 1, the most important thing is to see the message behind your child's behavior. When your child melts down, ask yourself, what is my child trying to tell me right now? That simple shift of resisting the urge to just shout no or stop and then reframe to what are you trying to tell me? It changes everything. I was recently working with a parent whose child was melting down every single time it was trying to leave. They would turn off the TV or they would start putting toys away, and then the child would cry and hit or throw in response. And then the exasperated parent would ultimately say no or stop, naturally, right? But everybody was really overwhelmed and stressed out. In this example, ask yourself, what was that child trying to tell their parent? In this case, the child was trying to say, this is a really big change. Why are you turning off my show? Why are you all of a sudden putting my coat on? Your voice is getting really, really loud and your face looks really, really overwhelming to me right now, and I'm overwhelmed. Now, of course, this sweet little toddler has mixed receptive expressive language disorder, and he can't actually tell his dad this. And even though his dad did say, we need to go get your brother from school, it's time to go, this little boy didn't understand that much language at a time. So let's talk about what to do when that's the case. Number 2, support receptive language with visuals. Children with receptive language delays often need more than just words to understand, and visuals are your absolute best bet to help them process what you're saying. You can use gestures, objects, pictures, first then boards, anything that helps your child to see what you mean, and it helps with that processing. In this example, what worked really well for this dad and this little boy was for the dad to show the little boy the coat and the shoes at the time that he gave him simplified instructions. So showing him the coat and the shoes and saying, time to go, and showing him a first then board that said first coat, then car. And then even showing him a picture of his brother on his dad's phone saying, we're going to go get your brother. And all of those visuals together helped that child to understand the direction and took away that meltdown at that time of transition. Number 3, this is the hardest one. Model instead of asking questions. When we ask questions like, what is that? What color is that? What does a cow say? What do you want? All of these questions require lots of processing time and processing power, and this is a struggle for our little ones with mixed receptive-expressive language disorder. So rather than layering on questions that are hard for them to understand, the best thing that we can do is model language so that they understand it better, and only ask questions when it's absolutely necessary. So here's an example. If they are handing you their cup, or if your child is pulling you over to the fridge and you know in your parent gut that they want milk, instead of saying, what do you want? Or instead of holding the milk and saying, what is this? Don't make it a question. Just model the name. Milk. You want milk. You can sign milk for an extra visual. You can point and hold out the milk as you say, milk. You want milk. Another trick is to kind of hold it near your mouth when you're saying, milk, you want milk. That way they can see the message on your face while you're holding the milk. All of these strategies help to really model the word and help them to use and understand the word instead of layering on questions that they just have to try to make sense of at a time when they're not really ready to understand it yet. Parenting a child with mixed receptive and expressive language disorder can feel heavy, but when you understand what's really happening underneath the behavior, you stop seeing only the problem and you start seeing behavior as communication, and that's when things start to change. This is exactly why I created First Words Dance Party. Every song I create is written specifically for children who are delayed with their receptive and expressive language. So the lyrics are written intentionally with words that are functional, highly meaningful, and the easiest syllable shapes to imitate. For example, in the song It's a Dance Party, we intentionally model body part words like eyes, nose, ears, hands, and feet, while also pairing them with the core words up and down in really meaningful physical ways. When you sing and gesture with your child, they're not just hearing the words, they're seeing them, feeling them, and experiencing them in their bodies as they move and dance. And that kind of multisensory input supports both receptive and expressive language, and it gives children a low-pressure way to express themselves. You can listen to this song next. If you're parenting a child with mixed receptive and expressive language disorder, you're not alone, and you don't have to do this by yourself. Please like this video and subscribe for more gentle, practical support for parents of children with speech delays, along with music for speech therapy at home that's designed to meet your child exactly where they are. You're doing important work, and your child's communication is coming one meaningful moment at a time. Thanks for watching.